The goal of the trip is not to get a giant gift that he can say belongs to him as president, but then he takes with him when he leaves the office.
Abby, you have to distance yourself from Trump derangement syndrome. It's irrelevant to policy. It doesn't matter.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So Abby Phillip had Scott Jennings, Van Jones, Bakari Sellers, Tulsi Gabbard, and Kevin O'Leary on her panel, and the whole thing turns into a fight about money. This is from about a year back during a presidential trip through the Gulf, and it plays differently now that we know how much of it went ahead. The setup is simple. While the president was over there negotiating with those governments, his family was signing new business deals in the same countries. Towers, golf projects, a hotel, a crypto arrangement. On top of that, one of those governments handed over a jet worth a reported $400 million. Scott's position is that these are business people doing business, and everybody knew that going in. Kevin's position is louder and simpler. He says none of it matters because the only thing worth talking about is policy. So the actual argument is whether a foreign government doing favors for a president's family is a real problem or just noise. That's where the Constitution comes in, and it's worth knowing this before you watch. There's a clause in there that says nobody holding office can accept a gift from a foreign state without Congress signing off. It's old, it's short, and it exists for exactly this kind of situation. Watch what happens when Abby brings it up. And stay till the end, because the argument does not finish where it started. Quick one for the comments. Should a president's family be allowed to sign new deals with foreign governments while he's in office? Yes or no? One line is fine. And drop your country down there too. I like seeing how far these videos travel. Alright, let's get into it.
According to our reporting, some of the deals going on right now: Saudi Arabia, 2 luxury towers, Live Golf Partnership, Qatar, Golf Club and Villas, UAE, luxury hotel, cryptocurrency deal, Oman, resort and golf project.
And the dinner.
I mean this sincerely. I mean, does it bother you that this is happening at the same time that these nation states are also trying to curry favor with Trump himself?
Well, it doesn't really bother me that people are in business for years, then their dad gets elected president, and then they continue to go on in business. We knew we were electing a businessman president. We knew his family was in business. So I think the American people have full visibility into that. Number 2.
But we're talking about new deals here, not existing
well, they're business
deals,
people. They're cutting deals all the time.
You're okay with them cutting deals while Trump is sitting in the White House when he's going over there
countries that
to
are
negotiate
actively
with them?
doing negotiations with
They're negotiating with every country in the world every day. Well, let me answer your question, the specific criticism about Hunter Biden. All the things you just mentioned, towers, golf courses, hotels, resorts, tangible things.
Cryptocurrency and meme coins, Scott, don't forget those.
You do something, money exchanges hands, a service is provided, a tower is built, a golf course is developed. Can you name one tangible service other than finger paintings that Hunter Biden provided for any money that changed hands?
I do think
that
is a fair critique of the Hunter. I think it's a fair critique of the Hunter Biden of it all. But you're not addressing the fact that in all of these countries, in order to do any of these things, they have to go to the political leadership of the countries to get them approved. That doesn't address that at all.
Abby, at 10:07, Scott was telling me how the biggest modern day conspiracy we've had in terms of a president, scandal, was Joe Biden and his health. And he said that, and then he criticized Chuck Schumer, right, about the fact that he didn't have any character because he didn't stand up to it. But at 10:27, 10:28, the argument has changed, because what we do know is that there is a $400 million jet from Qatar. What we do know is that there is a $5.5 million golf course in Qatar. What we do know is what Syria is offering Donald Trump. And what we do know is that the things that are happening in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, buying meme coins that mean absolutely nothing. The fact is, and I would love for Scott to be able to answer this question, but for the fact, and that's when I didn't really do well in law school, but I remember but for the fact Donald Trump is president of the United States, none of this would happen. And so that is what you call a kleptocracy.
Scott Jennings walks in with the defense he thinks is bulletproof, and it falls apart in about 10 seconds. Abby Phillip said this, but we're talking about new deals here, not existing deals. That is the whole thing right there. Nobody is upset that a family was in business before. The complaint is about contracts signed while the man in the White House is the one flying over there to negotiate with those same governments. And Scott's answer to that? He said this, well, they're business people. They're cutting deals all the time. That is not an argument. That is a shrug wearing a suit. And here's what people don't realize about this endless list of projects. Towers in one country, a golf club and villas in another, a hotel and a crypto arrangement somewhere else, a resort and another golf course after that. Every single one of those needs land. Every single one needs permits. Every single one needs a government to say yes. Abby nails this, and Scott never touches it. She said this: in order to do any of these things, they have to go to the political leadership of the countries to get them approved. Sit with that for a second. The customer and the regulator are the same people. A ruling family approves a tower for the family of a sitting president, and 2 weeks later, that same government is across the table asking for weapons or tariff relief or a security guarantee. You don't need a smoking gun. You don't need a recording. The structure itself is the problem, and the structure is not in dispute. Scott admits the deals are real. He just wants credit for admitting it. This isn't new territory for this country either. In the early 1920s, the Interior Secretary Albert Fall leased federal oil reserves at a place called Teapot Dome to private oilmen while he held the power to grant those leases. He took loans and gifts on the side, and he became the first cabinet secretary in American history sentenced to prison. Nobody ever proved he changed a single policy to do it. The money moving while he held the office was the offense. That standard is over 100 years old, and we're now being told it's naive. Then Bakari Sellers puts a word on it that the panel clearly did not want said out loud. He said this: and so that is what you call a kleptocracy. And notice what happens right after. Nobody argues with the word. They just try to change the subject.
And so when you have children, and no, and 1 second, Kevin, because you wanted to talk about you wanted to talk about Kamala Harris being mediocre. Donald Trump Jr. and what's the other one? Eric are the definition of what mediocre is. And what I'm saying is that now they are reaping the benefits of their father.
In a different direction?
Please.
Just for a moment. Please.
No, guide me. I'm blind.
What does this have to do with Middle East policy? Please, just a moment.
Oh, no, please.
Excuse me.
Oh, yes,
what does this have to do with the fact that he is trying to create a circle of friendship with the fastest growing geographies in the world before China does?
But wait a second.
Wait, let me finish.
Well,
on this trip, I just want to introduce an idea. This has nothing to do with policy.
Go ahead. I'm locked in.
What does this have to do with policy?
The one thing that I've heard for the last 4 or 5 years is anytime anyone had any criticism of the United States foreign policy in Gaza or whatever, is that these people would be being paid by a resource-rich government that propped up and funded terrorism, which was over in Qatar. Every single time. They were buying influence in Ivy League schools. They were buying influence in social media. They were buying influence everywhere. So anytime you saw somebody
you were
saying that anytime somebody was thought to have any dealings with the Qataris, they were thought as being intellectually and morally tainted. Except the President of the United States, who takes a $400 million plane from them, literally is refurbishing it to be Air Force.
Who cares about the plane? What does that have to do with the fact?
Because it's
Wait a second.
You know what?
If you
I don't get it. Why focus on something that is irrelevant to the policy?
It's
of
not
the region?
irrelevant.
It's completely irrelevant.
How is it irrelevant?
Would you rather have the Chinese there? Would you rather have them there?
Kevin, the United States Constitution would like to have a word. The United States Constitution would like to have a word. That's why people care, right?
People care
because
of
the
the
reason that that's in the Constitution is to prevent the President of the United States from accepting things that are being perceived as bribes.
What is the national interest
The goal of the
this
trip is not to get a giant gift that he can say belongs to him as president, but then he takes with him when he leaves the office.
Abby, you have to distance yourself from Trump derangement syndrome. It's irrelevant to policy. It doesn't matter.
Watch how fast Kevin O'Leary tries to move the conversation once the money question gets specific. He said this: what does this have to do with the fact that he is trying to create a circle of friendship with the fastest growing geographies in the world before China does? Beautiful phrase, circle of friendship. That's the language of a man selling you a timeshare. And it's a magic trick. If you can convince the audience that the only question is China, then every other question becomes rude. But the two things aren't in competition. You can build ties in the Gulf without your kids signing development contracts in the same week. Countries manage this constantly. It's called a blind trust, and it exists precisely so nobody has to guess. Then Van Jones lands the point that should have ended the conversation. For years, anyone in American public life who took money from that one Gulf government was treated as bought and paid for. Universities got hammered for it. Commentators got accused of it. That was the standard everybody agreed on. And now a jet reported at around $400 million gets handed over and refurbished for presidential use. And suddenly, the standard evaporates. Kevin's response tells you he has no counter. He said this: "Who cares about the plane? Who cares about the plane?" That's the answer. Not it's legal, not here's the process, not it goes to the government afterward. Just, why are you bringing this up? And when Abby presses him, he doubles down and calls it completely irrelevant. Twice, like volume is a substitute for a reason. Which sets up the best line of the entire segment. Abby Phillip said this: "Kevin, the United States Constitution would like to have a word." I have watched this exchange several times and it still gets me because it's polite, it's calm, and it completely removes the floor from under him. He's arguing that a foreign gift to a sitting president is a distraction. She's pointing out that the founders of this country wrote a rule about exactly this before there was electricity, and his comeback is the mask coming off. Kevin said this: "It's irrelevant to policy. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's a billionaire telling you the rules that apply to a president are a nuisance getting in the way of the deal flow."
Okay.
What matters
Kevin,
is, why are all these AI guys
have
on this
you
trip?
heard of the emoluments clause?
Wait. Why do you have all the leaders?
Kevin, no, seriously, it's a serious question. Have you heard of the emoluments clause? Do you understand that that is in the Constitution?
He doesn't. No.
And do you understand that even if you think that maybe it might be
Debating how many
okay,
fairies dance on a pin does not do
legally
policy.
incredibly dubious.
So let me ask you a
realize that,
question.
right?
So can I? So, I'm sorry.
Hold on.
I'm
Let
hearing
me
you.
just say, but Kevin doesn't operate by the same morals and ethics and values that we're
I'm
talking
above
about.
that. I focus
because
on
you're
policy.
so rich, you get to be above it. That's
It's
so
nothing to
lovely.
do with wealth. It's policy, policy.
No, but here's the point about the policy. Let me make one point, fellas. Whew. If someone is willing to take a $400 million plane from a government, that the kinds of things that Van was talking about, people have, even Ted Cruz had some issues with this. What else is he willing to do? And Scott, you're talking about these tangible things. Meme coins
they're
are
business people.
Meme coins are not tangible. They're nothing. Cryptocurrency is nothing. There is a bidding war going on right now with governments and countries and companies. We have no idea what their alignments are to buy enough meme coins to buy access to our
There was a story tonight in the New
not
York Times about a
ethical.
very mysterious company that bought hundreds of millions of dollars
With
worth of
links to
Trump
China. I
mean, I
meme
think-
coins with links to
I think-
China.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
So, I mean, there are
go
some
ahead.
real
That is
questions
not-
and concerns about the money that is being made here.
The emoluments thing you raised, I mean, it's a good question. It's a legitimate debating point, and I assume it'll ultimately be tested in court. The administration has a point of view on it. I assume they're going to be sued, or I don't know how you would get it into court on this, but my assumption is ultimately the Supreme Court is the only people who can give us some arbitration on this. So I assume that's where it's headed.
Abby doesn't let it go, and this is where it gets almost uncomfortable to watch. She said this: "Have you heard of the emoluments clause?" She asks him twice. She tells him it's a serious question, and he never answers it. Two other people on that panel say out loud that he doesn't know what it is, and he doesn't correct them because he can't. Instead, we get this from Kevin. Debating how many fairies dance on a pin does not do policy. For anyone who hasn't run into the term, here's what he's dismissing. There's a clause in the Constitution that says a person holding office in the United States cannot accept a present of any kind whatsoever from a king, a prince, or a foreign state without the consent of Congress. That's the actual language. Not vibes, not a norm. A written rule with a built-in permission slip if you want to do it legally. And the reason it exists is one of my favorite pieces of history. In the 1780s, European courts had a custom of handing departing ambassadors an expensive parting gift. Benjamin Franklin, wrapping up his years in France, was given a snuff box from the French king studded with more than 400 diamonds. Franklin didn't shrug and pocket it. He reported it and asked Congress what to do, because even then, everyone understood how a gift from a foreign crown could quietly bend a man's judgment. The founders watched that happen and wrote the rule so nobody would have to trust a politician's willpower. So no, it's not fairies on a pin. It's a diamond snuff box 240 years ago and a wide-body jet today. Same idea, different price tag. Then Tulsi Gabbard cuts through it in one line. She said this: "Oh, because you're so rich, you get to be above it." That's the entire worldview in 9 words. words. Kevin's position is that morals and ethics are for people who don't have real work to do. And this is what I keep coming back to. If someone accepts a gift of that size from a foreign government, the question isn't whether that one gift changed a decision. The question is what else they'd accept, and from whom, and what those people expect back. Which brings up the piece nobody on the panel wants to look at directly, the crypto side of this. A meme coin has no company behind it, no product, no service. Anyone on earth can buy it, in any amount, and the name attached to the wallet can stay hidden. Compare that to a hotel. A hotel takes years, employs people, sits somewhere you can point at. A token takes 30 seconds. It's the cleanest way ever invented to move a large amount of money to a politician's family without a paper trail. And there's already reporting about an obscure company with links to China buying hundreds of millions of dollars of one. And here's the part that makes the whole segment worth watching. After all that dismissal, Scott Jennings quietly folded. He said this: "The emoluments thing you raised, I mean, it's a good question. It's a legitimate debating point, and I assume it will ultimately be tested in court. A good question, a legitimate point, headed to the Supreme Court." The guy defending all of this ends by admitting the criticism is real enough that judges will have to sort it out, while the guy next to him spent 5 minutes insisting it doesn't matter at all. That's not a debate ending in a tie. That's one side quietly stepping off the position the other side was still defending. So what do you guys think of this? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.